Hello, it's Luke for Inside the Singularity, and today I'm talking about the nature of immortality. This is something I've been thinking about for a bit, and especially this year, I came in contact with my own mortality on a much deeper level. If you know anything about me, me and death have been intertwined for a while now, and I've definitely been thinking about it since I was very young. This notion of being destroyed per se and then stuck in a permanent state forever has been maybe the most horrifying thing that I could have imagined. So this kind of sent me on a quest for most of my life to understand life. I wanted to understand death, and that in itself took me on a very, very deep, brutal journey through spirituality and mysticism and all of that. I would say that's been one of my main philosophical inquiries in life is the nature of death and what is death? What is death really? Um, I know I've been, most kids they get out of school and they go home and play video games. I spend time researching and meditating and going off in the woods, just being weird in general. Weird. So I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to maybe backtrack. Who you really are is immortal, is eternal, has always been here, and always will be here. You've never gone anywhere, nor will you ever go anywhere. But on the same end, you will be born and you will die. You will go many places. So, I personally have this insane visceral sense that I've been here forever. It's not this person that's been here forever, this body, this specific set of experience and reality, but this consciousness, this awareness, or even this specific kind of soul signature, this offshoot of infinite consciousness that I am representing here, has been here forever, going through all infinite dimensions, time and space, growing and evolving, and all of this. As one aspect, I'm an individuated expression, but I'm also a representation of the totality. So your immortality doesn't necessarily reside in the permanence of your form, the permanence of who you are, but rather the constant nature, which the constant gives rise to the ever changing. This constant is consciousness, love, and you could also say nothingness or Godhead in all of this. So, from this state, this brings up a lot of questions about death, and this is something that I've had to think about. And I've had people tell me since I was young that I shouldn't worry about death, that I shouldn't think about death. I've asked my parents questions, asked my friends questions. It's just been on my mind for a very long time. And what has allowed me to have answers per se is getting over the fear of death. In fact, what I've done, instead of just like going at war with my fear of death, I thanked and I loved my fear of death until it melted away and I was swept into this new avenue. And then from there, from conquering my fear of death, I was led to the fear of being God itself, the fear of being absolutely infinite and absolute love. So that was another thing that I was able to love and then bring in the conscious awareness of that, of being total and infinite. And I've had experiences where I've merged inside and out, and I've seen that things are not as they appear and that things are truly formless. But it wasn't until I really tapped into infinite love that things changed dramatically, just utterly dramatically. So I'm going to say this and it's going to sound radical. Your death, once you leave this body per se, is going to be an amazing experience. In fact, it's something that I kind of look forward to someday. Because you're going to merge back into this infinite, all-loving, total mercy. It loves you more than you could ever imagine. It's a total selfless love that will just bring you back in, and then you will become again. And when you're in that state, it will feel like eternity because there is no time there. But you will emerge again. You will experience again because that's all there is experience. There's nothing practically opposite of that. Because reality is fundamentally non-dual, which also includes duality. But I guess you could say it this way: is there duality between mortality and immortality? Well, no, because they eventually co-elude. Because you're hung up on who you think you are. You haven't really checked who you are. You think you are this body, you are this person. You have this whole story about who you are and where you came from that everyone told you. And you think that's what's immortal. Or that's what I'm saying, what is immortal. But that's just your current state. Now, in order to realize this, in order to get to this space in my own personal life, it's taken many years of contemplation and consciousness work, and there's been times that I've been horrified to look at this, horrified, scared, and all this. It's slowly purging out my egotistical attachments that I've had since I was a child. And I think I finally found like a very, very healthy level of detachment from the world, which is just profound because every moment just becomes spectacular and happy, and things just don't bother you so much. Even me getting cancer, there was times where I was afraid and all that, but there was always just like a calmness that I couldn't describe, where I was just like, okay, this is where life is taking me. I'm gonna ride this ride and see where it goes. If I don't make it at the end of it, that's the way it was supposed to go. But I'll be back. I'll be back as something else. And it will just be as spectacular and beautiful as this is right now. And um, so I kind of understand when people say that when people go through intense medical problems, their perspective on life changes. But for me, I've been working on changing my perspective forever, and this was just an insane amount of catalyst to allow these things to happen. But what does this mean for you? What is this? What is the point of me talking about this? Well, I want you to understand that death is not a bad thing. Change is not a bad thing. In fact, change is necessary. Death is necessary. You know, in order for humanity to progress, people need to fucking die. Alright? And it's not necessarily that they're going into an eternal abyss of darkness. It's that they're coming back to love, merging back with love, and then reshaping. So they can be new, and they can be fresh, and they can evolve, and they can keep coming. They can keep growing, in a sense. It's a necessary part of growth itself is death. And you're so attached to this. Now imagine when you're a child and you are growing into an adult. If your cells wanted to hold on and to stay the way they were, it would be a terrible time, because those cells need to grow and die and break and morph and change in order for you to grow up into an adult. And for you to spiritually evolve, you need to die. Your whole sense of self needs to change dramatically, so you get a glimpse of more into what you are. Now, you may ask, well, what's the point of this? You know, why die? Why grow? Why do any of this? Well, come into contact with what is really going on here. Eternal, infinite creativity and love. It's beyond reason. It's beyond any logical thing. It's a pure divine innocence that just wants to be and to grow and to change and to dance in the beauty of life. In order for things to be really beautiful, it has to be ephemeral. It can't last forever. It would get fucking bored. It has all of time and eternity, and it doesn't want to be bored. You don't want to be bored either. And a part of it not wanting to be bored, if that means I have to fucking die, that's fine, because I won't be bored either. You quickly learn it's not about me. This thing called life is not serving this particular thing, but it is a concert. It's an infinite ensemble and symphony per se. And there's some instruments that come in and then they go out, and then I hear for the rest of the song. All right, and they might come back in a different way and play a different melody, but it was a beautiful part. And you can almost think of your life as a song where there's, sometimes it's these instruments coming in, playing a little happy tiddly. Sometimes it's just like this agony of dissonance, and then sometimes it's this, this real sad and melancholy. But, eventually it has an end. But it's not like the musicians die. At the end of it, they just play another song. It's just that your song takes a lifetime to complete. So I'm just trying to give you insight into how I see things, or how I've come to know things, and this really shapes how I see everything. And it's really to me, it's been the greatest gift that I've ever been given, is realizing who I really am and the totality of it, and the love of it. This healed me on such a deep, deep, deep place that I'm perfectly content with dying. It doesn't feel like I need to do anything anymore with the degree of seriousness. It doesn't mean I don't take life seriously, but it isn't like a frantic run. It isn't anything like. It just makes me want to sit and appreciate all that I am and do things just for their own sake even more. So I would hope that, you know, eventually a lot of people realize this in this lifetime, and I'm sure eventually they will. Not this current incarnation. Um, so this does bring me up to an interesting idea of just what is carried over from incarnation to incarnation. That's something I've kind of thought about. And through things that I've gleaned from talking to the universe per se, and reading books of other people who communicate with the universe, and listening to other spiritual teachers and all this kind of thing, there's this idea of the soul, and this is something that I've come in contact with. So the soul is not separate from God, much like you're not separate from God. But it's, let's just say, closer to the source. It's, if God is this infinite sun and it's shooting out individual ray beams that eventually go back into itself, and this soul itself kind of has its own will. That is what its own, you are its desire and its own projection into form. It's another higher level aspect of creativity. And God is the totality of it all. The soul is kind of like this focusing of that energy, and then we get to here. But the importance of this is that if God's goal is to realize itself, if it necessarily had to start from scratch every single time, it would maybe be impossible. So you see this with how humanity has carried over knowledge and traditions over and over and over again, and there's this kind of collective consciousness, this kind of collective knowing of things. You can almost see this as kind of like this, the hint of the soul and a kind of universal memory per se. And your soul is on its own individual journey to realize itself. So it incarnates in the forms that it needs to understand its own true nature. And it may not make sense to you why you're the way you are. But to your soul, it would make perfect sense. So let's say you understand a lot of things about reality, but maybe you don't understand what it's like to be short. So you incarnate as a short person. Maybe you don't understand what it means to be ugly, so you become an ugly person. And you're experiencing that. And all these other souls are helping you by being the contrast of what you are. And in that way, you can really experience that what you want to experience, to realize the totality of it all, to soak in all the juicy juicy, divine, splendid duality that there is in relativity. So we're all working together, helping each other realize who we are by being opposites. And there's many other theories about how exactly we come to be and all that, but this is where I'll leave that whole talk for now. But just, if you kind of see your life as just one of many, and you can't necessarily fail, and that you are gleaming what you must from everything, and that you, as you are now, are a gift to yourself and to everyone else. It just fills you with immense joy, and you can start to appreciate everything and everyone on a much, much, much deeper and much, much more profound level. So, yeah, it's very visceral. And a lot of this, it doesn't make sense logically. You have to experience it for yourself. You have to tap into infinite consciousness. You have to have a dialogue with the universe and sit down and talk with it. And I'm not sure, for maybe a lot of people that's just, in their current form, that's just impossible. For me, I realized I've been in communication with the universe for a very long time. I sat down and I was thinking, like, am I really listening to my intuition? Is this really what's... And I just realized that my life changes a lot. It's in constant flux because I'm always looking at a spot where I need to grow, always looking for how to deepen my self-love and comprehension and do all these things. And I just realize I'm going so much against the grain of society. It can be really painful and incredibly alienating sometimes, but I'm just realizing that, like, that is the nature of my intuition, is that I'm listening to the voice that tells me of higher things, that speaks of love and goodness, and it's not the easy thing to do. Not the easy thing. So that's why my life is constantly changing. Because it's what the universe wants, it's what it desires, it's what I desire, and you have to have a certain level of healthy detachment to have that happen. But once you realize you're immortal, then it's okay, and it's perfectly fine. It's almost splendid to die in some way. So how do you, if I was just gonna wrap up this video, I know I just said a lot of shit, and maybe you just stumbled across this video because you had some questions. How do you get to this space of consciousness? How do you see life from this perspective? It's not so much see, but embody and feel. It's a much deeper knowing than knowing itself, if you want to put it that way. Well, I think firstly through deep spiritual practice, shadow work, dealing with fear, pushing yourself outside your comfort zone all the time. Ethnogens, I think, are very powerful for this. I will always say, if you do ethnogenical substances, you need to be very, very cautious with them and do them responsibly. And I prefer the word ethnogen other than psychedelics, because to me it just pinned the intent behind it. Ethnogen is some people use it as a word to mean a plant that gives you visions of God or help you realize God, and that's what I think what psychedelics at their best are used for. Also used for healing yourself and many things, but these, if you've been stuck in a rut and you're just hitting this wall, psychedelics can really help you outgrow those problems. And they can put you in such terrifying scenarios that it grows you immensely as a person. If you want to come in contact with the absolute power of consciousness, take a lot of mushrooms and watch your reality completely get replaced. Watch everything you've known about what you are dissolve right before you. And you enter a new space. And it will feel like death. That's practically what's going to happen to you when you die. Is you will shift. Just shift and merge. And how can I know this? Through immense work and all this stuff. I'm not advocating here that you go kill yourself to get to the state or you do anything like that. I mean, I can't really stop you from doing that if you really wanted to anyway. You gotta think that when you do that, you're gonna lose this life. You're gonna lose this form. You're gonna be someone else. I'm not saying you go to heaven as you are now. That's not what I'm saying. But it's all fine. Death is the eternal safety net. And that's just the way it is. It's absolutely genius, really. It's genius that death exists. It's genius that there's impermanence, that we get disease and that we die. It's out of love that these things happen. So in no way am I trying to fuck with that. I don't think we should be striving for actual physical immortality. That just seems asinine. That is trying to undermine the beauty and perfection of what is, and I know that's practically impossible to even if humanity died, a nuclear holocaust ensued, that's still out of beauty, love, and grace and genius that happened. And to think that it would be totally lost and that it could never happen again is just maybe ignorance. You just think about it. Just think about this. Think about this. Where the fuck are you right now? Where are you right now? Who are you right now? How can you understand any of this? How can you breathe? How can you see? How can you hear? Where are you really? How can you move, perceive, breathe, eat, anything, create, compose? You take this all for granted. Every moment just seems arbitrary. And you just keep pushing off the notion of death. Just keep pushing it off. Don't want to act like it exists. All that matters is pleasure in the here and now. What's going on here is deeply intelligent. Is deeply intelligent. Insanely conscious. Insanely beautiful. Insanely good. But you have forgotten who you are, and you have identified with something that will change. And why did you do this? Because you wanted to experience doing that. So it's not like you're stupid. You're so fucking ingenious that you did this. You are so smart. You are so creative and so powerful. This is what you did. And look how awesome it is. Look how awesome. In the true sense of the word, awesome. This is what this is. And you did it. Look at you go. And from this space, I'm not advocating that we don't try to fix our problems and we don't try to change the world and all that. I'm saying the world's going to change. It's always going to change. It's moving towards love and good and consciousness. It's becoming more and more of a true reflection of those things. It's just that the true nature of reality is so radical. It's so out there. It's so against anything you've ever heard, anything you could even think about. It's terrifying. It's shocking. It can make you puke. It can make you cry for days. And I've been there. I've gotten over it. I've come in contact with this. You kind of have to develop a certain desire to walk into the fire and let it take from you what it will for you to move on. All in the name of just understanding and truth. And I'm not the only person that talks about these things. There's many teachers that I look up to. There's many people that have written books. There's been saints and sages all through history who have personally derived this for themselves. And that's where it starts. You need to derive it for yourself. And I'm sure you can. If you are capable enough to understand what I'm saying and see that I'm not just spewing dogma and bullshit. There is a deep kernel of truth that I'm trying to point at here that can be gleaned. And if you do find it for yourself, it's utterly life transforming and will bring you the most amount of happiness and satisfaction and fulfillment in your life that you will ever experience. Ever. In this lifetime. It will make old drugs, make old sex, make old fucking sugar and candy seem like nothing. Like nothing. Inconsequential. And at the same time, it will make those things even better. So yeah. In a sense, I've gotten what I wanted. I have everything that I've ever wanted in my whole life, right here, right now. And that's honestly realized why I wanted to start shooting these videos, and that's why I wanted to start talking about this, because it's like, if there was a population of virgins that never had sex, and I just wanted to try to get up and advocate that they should have sex, because sex is awesome. It feels great. If you have great sex, it's liberating on a very, very deep level. It's good. So I'm advocating here that you have sex with the universe. You let the universe fuck you out of existence. So you can realize the splendor of life. The universe takes years of foreplay to start really working. um, yeah. that's what I'm really saying. And the orgasm will last eternity. um Man, if you've been watching his videos and you think I'm some type of cool headed person, no, no, I don't know. I love to laugh. I love humor. I love just saying the wrong things. I don't know. I like to break things, and I don't like to be professional very much. I think I said in one video that I love cuss words that are like the sprinkles on top of the ice cream that is language. But okay, I think this is all that I'm going to say for now, and I think I'm going to have fun. I hope you like this new setup I'm doing, this new kind of background. I know it's kind of grainy, but I think it kind of fits into my aesthetic. This thing that I'm going for, so it'd be kind of cool. Maybe when I eventually get enough money, I'll buy a new webcam. But for right now, that's not a top priority because college and whatnot. So maybe bust, and I will see you in the next video. Have a good day, good week, good life.